The Easy Gift Bag was designed to be made with designer series paper, but it turns out you can use cardstock with some minor modifications. Keep watching to learn how. Hi, this is Sage Kimball and I'm the Mad Stamper with another technique video for card makers and paper crafters. Designer series paper, otherwise known as DSP, and other pattern papers are thin and flexible, so making the unusual folds for the gift bag is easy to do. Use the link provided if you want to see the original video. However, this video will show you all the steps for making the bag with cardstock, which is thicker and stiffer and requires one modification for it to fold cleanly. I start with a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock. I place it in the Simply Scored in the portrait mode, or with the short side against the top. You could also use your paper trimmer with a scoring blade if you prefer. First, I score at 2.5 inches and then 6 inches. Now I turn the cardstock 90 degrees and score at 4.5 inches, then at 6.5 inches. I created a template that you'll be able to download, which indicates the names I use for different panels. These largest panels are the front and back of the bag, and this in the middle is the bottom. These are side panels, and I call these little ones here center panels or center side panels. And then the other four I just call side panels. The score lines are also indicated on the template. You'll see the 2.5 inch and 6 inch marks and the 4.5 and 6.5 inch ones. The only extra scoring needed for bags made of cardstock are on the center side panels. On what will be the inside of the bag, I mark the center of each center panel. They're 2 inches wide, so I mark them at 1 inch. Then I lay the ruler between those two marks and draw a line 1.5 inches long on each one. These lines won't show on the finished bag, as they'll end up being on the inside. Now I'll draw diagonal lines from the ends of the 1.5 inch lines to the corners of the center panels. Once these lines are scored, they're going to overcome the cardstock's rigidity and make the sides of the box fold really cleanly. I'm going to use a stylus and the Stampin' Pierce mat to score along these lines. I'm using the stylus that comes with Simply Scored, but the Take Your Pick tool also has a stylus. With the cardstock on top of the mat, I lay the ruler along each line and score with the small end of the stylus. I go over each one twice to make sure I get a deep enough score. Next, I make the folds I just scored on the center panels. I start with one of the 1.5 inch lines and kind of pinch it with my fingers. Then I do the same with the diagonal lines. They're a little trickier to work with, but I keep trying to get my fingers in the right position to make the creases. At this point, I'm going to start working with the side panels. First, I fold this side panel towards the center. I can go ahead and crease it with a bone folder at this point. Now the next step is the trickiest fold in the project, but once you get the hang of it, you won't have any trouble. I pinch the center panel fold so it sticks up a bit. Then I can fold it down to meet with the fold of the side panel. You can see that there is a start of a diagonal fold on the inside. The cardstock doesn't fold easily on the diagonal without a score line, so I crease it lightly with my fingers. Then I press the tip of the bone folder into the top of the triangle and slide it all the way down the fold. I continue to hold the two outer edges together while I work on that diagonal so they will stay lined up correctly. Let me show you that fold again. The score line of the center panel has to come down and line up with the side panel fold. It's really important to get these two folds even with each other, as this is what makes the bag look neat and professional. Now I'll make the same folds with each of the large side panels. I'm going to speed up the recording so that it won't be too long and you won't get bored. If you've ever watched my video on paper grain, you'll understand why this diagonal fold is so resistant. You can use the link provided to see the video on paper grain. With the folds complete on one end of the box, you can start to see how they're going to fit together. You'll notice how I use the tip of the bone folder to help make the start of this fold easier and neater. I realize you can't really see the diagonal fold inside the box when the other end is already folded, so I won't bother showing you the final side fold. I keep saying how important it is to get these two folds lined up together. Here's what happens when they aren't. On this practice piece, the folds stick out past the front of the bag, and that doesn't look very good. Now I can form the gift bag. First I push on the center creases of the center panels. Then I put one side panel diagonal fold on top of the other so the panels lie flat. I'll do the same with the other end, and now you can see how the shape comes together. I find it helpful to use a clip to hold the front and back together while I finish decorating the box. Here's the finished gift bag. I like to use a ribbon to hold the panels together, although you could use a decorative clip if you prefer. I've slipped a glue dot under the ribbon on the back of the bag. This is the only adhesive I used on it. I stamped snowflakes on the front of the bag, and of course you would need to do this when the bag isn't folded into shape. Then I added the artwork with dimensionals, and voila! I have a gift bag that's sure to fascinate whoever I give it to. I hope you'll try this in your craft room. If you've never made one before, I recommend you start with a piece of designer series paper instead of cardstock. Then when you work with cardstock, you'll understand better how to make the diagonal folds. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment. For more inspiration and instructions, be sure to sign up for my newsletter at www.stampingmadly.com. Visit me on Facebook and Pinterest, and don't miss another great video. Subscribe to the Mad Stamper YouTube channel now.